So, just because it kind of marries in to what we did the other day regarding legs, we'll do some stuff from turtle. It's somehow related. Getting up out of guard, getting into a turtle situation, fighting from turtle into a good posture, try and get back to our feet, try and get back to the top position, gentlemen. So first drill, just kind of warm up and get used to turning someone over and getting control. Don't want any submissions yet, but one person starting turtle. I'll leave it up to you how you want to play that. Other person either take the back with 2 hooks in or roll them onto their back. Make sense? So if you can pin them on the floor flat, good. Just put them back into guard, or put them, if you put them back into guard or put them in side control or anything like that, great. If you can get their back and get hooks in, great. Person in turtle, just try and stop bad things happening to you. Okay? If you can maintain your safety for a minute, just for the warm up, then great. Now I'll tell you when to change. Make sense? So, person on top, try and get control in some way. Either put them on their back or get hooks in. Person on bottom, try and maintain your turtle for like a minute, minute and a half. I don't know, I'll figure it out, see how people are getting on. Make sense? And we'll figure out how people break it. So I'll leave it to you how you want to fuck people up. If you haven't seen it before, if you're new to all this jazz, one person is turtled, and you're going to start just in this situation here, and I've got to try and put him on his back, or if I can, I want to get 2 hooks in. Point scoring here. Okay? Obviously this wouldn't really be helpful, because if he just stood up right now, I'd just go fucking flying over the top. So try and get a seat belt or some shit like that at the same time. It's up to you. Make sense? So one person turtle, one person side to side, count each other in, and then yeah, I'll tell you when a minute and a half has passed, and you can figure out if that's been long enough. Make sense? Yep. Grab a human, something that resembles one. Off you go.
Standard as well.
So, next conundrum. Let's see what happens. Same drill. But person who is the turtle, I want you to get out of that situation. Now before you were just trying to survive. Now I want to figure out, just base level, how you get out of that situation, how you get back to somewhere you can feel safe and dominant again. So being in turtle is obviously not beneficial at this point, as you just felt. How would you get out of it, and then we can explore some of those ideas afterwards. Okay, so same drill, a minute and a half, turtle, escape, get out, get up, stand up, wrestle them over, don't give a fuck, knee bar them, leg lock them. Right, just something positive. Okay?
What about guard?
That's not positive.
That's an incentive, though.
No, it's terrible. It's a terrible idea. We went from guard into turtle.
Yeah.
So, no, get out of that. Leg lock them, maybe. Or Kimura them. Yeah, you figure your way out. Get out. Off you go. So, I want to leave that quite open and quite competitive, just because I want to see what you did and make it more honest and try and figure out how you get out. I don't want it to be like levels of resistance. I don't want it to be full resistance and quite competitive. And you saw there are some issues. Sometimes you could get out, sometimes you couldn't. So historically, previously, the forms of turtle we've had are the old BJJ style. circa 2016, which is more covering your neck here, waiting to die, waiting for the choke to come in, maybe head on floor or head up. It's pretty much just a holding pen waiting for death at this point. Then Pre came along, 2017, and introduced us to his version of turtle, with more on top of the head, covering the gaps here. Because as long as they can't get into my armpits, into my hips, then it's hard for them to get hooks in or seatbelt or stuff like that. Problem with that though is it requires a BJJ person to be attacking you, someone who just wants to get hooks in. The brainer. I say here, this is under the idea that someone's trying to go for a choke on you, and so you could try and go for like a seatbelt, and you can kind of like defend the neck, and they can't. They try to go for a rear naked or something like that. I can at least defend my neck. If there was a collar, I can defend that. Well, so it had some legs to it, but it's just waiting to die. This, covering the gaps and having my elbows in my hips, meant that neck wouldn't be able to get hooks in, wouldn't be able to get a seatbelt or anything like that, which again is under the idea that you're fighting a BJJ person who only wants to get a seatbelt or hooks in. But the second you start playing in gyms where people try and stand up and wrestle, is they don't attack you this way, they'll go for your ankles and plant your head into the ground. So if I end up doing this here, and Naki starts lifting my ankle and putting my head down, it's very hard to keep that position because you start stacking so much weight on my head. I just want to open up those gaps, and it's impossible for me to do anything else apart from just going back into guard, which is like wasn't the plan because I'm halfway to being upright. So putting your head on the floor and not defending your ankles gives them this opportunity. That's why I remember watching, I think it was ADCC last year. There's quite a lot of people playing turtle, like the fucking Naruto running, like doing this. Like defending their ankles. And I watched it at the time thinking, that's interesting, why are they doing that? But it's kind of like a mixture of both worlds, is that I'm still kind of stopping the hooks coming in and the seatbelt, so Naki goes for it, and can still stop it, but at the same time, I can also defend my ankles by hand fighting. I mean, I'm not going to fucking go anywhere, but it makes sense on what it's trying to accomplish. Like, it's stopping him from lifting my ankles and slamming my head into the ground. But again, I can't get upright. So that's when you start seeing stuff like the referee, which is sitting more upright here, on my toes, ready to get upright. Which again makes sense, like it gives me opportunity to stand, and makes sense in a wrestling world. But in a jiu-jitsu world, you can probably slam both hooks in and take my back and shut him shit out. Which, if I can fuck his angle up, I can make him fall into guard. Like if Naki tries to get his hooks in, for example, and he does get his hooks in, fantastic, but I can tuck one and make him fall off. Especially if I'm standing, is that the second he jumps his hooks in, here he gets his seatbelt, I can come up, right, and make him come off the end. Which, there's always a chance I'm going to get choked in that time, but you can see why none of these ideas are kind of perfect. There's always going to be like problems with everything. So you have to kind of blend all the ideas together. I want to be able to get upright, so I need my head in the air. If I want to stand up from turtle, I need to be able to be aware of my armpits, so hooks and seatbelt doesn't come flying in. So being able to defend this position, so we used to call it samurai, sitting here and defending the gap, but being half upright, which kind of gives you the best of both worlds, not having my head on the floor. The other thing to be considerate of is if you're going to wrestle, don't usually go for this grip, because that's just a fucking crucifix grip. If he pulls his leg back now, he traps my arm, and now this shit happens, now I'm trapped, and it's all gone wrong. Preferably, if I want to get upright, I want to have a stand a good chance of not getting thrown the fuck around. It's whoever's leg is sitting behind the other person's, like if you can get your hip behind the other person. Like if Naki and I are in like equal, both in like a dogfight situation here, with both our hands on the floor, whoever's hip is behind the other is the person who wins. So right now it's equal. If I just reverse 2 inches, I've won. You can feel like the sudden dominance I have. Like I'm the one who can now control his hips. Same as, if he just moves back 2 inches, yeah, it feels fucking awful. I don't like it when they move back 2 inches. And so whoever can kind of like get behind the other person's hips is the person who's going to be in control. So mixing in those ideas that you have, putting your head on the floor, usually a bad idea, because they're going to make you fucking eat shit if you put your head on the ground. Being aware of your ankles, being aware of this gap here, being aware that you want to get the fuck upright and defend your neck and the hooks at the same time, but also you want to try and get your leg behind theirs. And that's if you leave your ankles open as well, they'll just sit on the back of your ankles. Here, and now you can't fucking pin to the ground. Like if he sits on my ankle, like, yeah, it's fucked. Like I can't leg lock him, I can't do anything. At least if I've got ankles free, I'm going to put my leg on the inside, I can now treat it as a leg locking position, and I can start going for knee bars and shit. So there is a slight benefit to him being behind, is I can now start coming underneath and playing for shut out here. Does that make sense? So factors that I have in, that's why like, you see like pre-active turtle of doing this and trying to like slightly square up to the person. So I'm keeping my neck and my posture good, so he can't snap my head down. You know, if I have a relaxed spine and he goes around my neck like a guillotine, yeah, that's a fucking problem. If I have a good solid neck here and he goes for it, like I can at least come in and wrestle. Does that make sense? So I want to have good posture in my neck if I'm going to play that kind of stuff. Yeah, if I can get like an active toe situation here where I'm covering the gaps, I'm on my feet, I'm upright, I'm going to try and get my leg behind his, because if I can do that, we're fighting. If he's attacking me, yeah, I can now start winning. I'm hiding him from sitting on my ankles as well, and also my foot is upright, so I could get in the middle and start leg locking at the same time. So taking those ideas, I want to spend some time going through those ideas in your head and feeling out what works. So your partner, ask them to like give various levels of resistance. Like if it feels like if they're being too competitive on you and trying to fuck you up, say just chill. Same as if you think you need your shit testing, ask them to up it. But blend those ideas together. Be aware of your neck. So you know, if you want to mix in the old style jiu-jitsu neck cover, it may be helpful. It's existed for a while. If you want to mix in the whole pre-elbows tucked cover, mix it in. It might come in handy when you're upright or down. Depends. If you want to do the fucking Naruto, or defending your ankles, be aware of it. If you want to do a high referee, be aware of it. If you want to do a half referee, active turtle, be aware of it, try and sit behind them, leg locks, all that kind of shit. So there's a lot there to kind of absorb, but it has to be blended together. Like anytime I've been successful in turtles, because I've used all those ideas at the same time, depending, like, it's not one size fits all of like, oh, I'm just going to do pre-shit, I'm just going to do referee shit. There's lots of ideas and they've all got benefits and issues. So see what works for you. Deal with the issues as they present themselves. That's why you need a partner to give you some resistance, so you can blend the ideas together. So if Naki was attacking me, for example, I ended up here. I've got resistance. I can play. Does that make sense? So I'm using various ideas depending on what he's doing to me. He's sitting behind me, I need to get him fucking in front of me again. He's asking my ankles, I'll defend them. Cover the gaps, right, move. Does that make sense? So play those ideas with your partner, various levels of resistance. Make sure you do talk to your partner and tell them what you want as well. Like, oh, can you tap my head, can you tap my hips more, can you up the pressure, can you lower the pressure, try and tap my back, try and slam me down, etc., etc. And try and find your way back to those dominant kind of situations using those ideas. Make sense? A lot to think about, so I'll give you a good 10-15 minutes on this. Get playing. Here you go. I think as well, like you don't. I guess part of the issue when we started talking about Kindle guard is it says the second I put the word guard on it, people spent longer than they should have. Like you should just be getting the fuck up if you hit the floor. Like not going into a guard and letting the other person establish the control. It's the same thing here. Like go to turtle if you fucking need to pause, but don't fucking pause. Like if you give people the opportunity to establish a position of control, life just gets harder and harder. Because they're starting sitting behind your hips, they start sitting on your ankles, putting pressure on your spine. Like you've now got to try and climb out of that pit, and they've got the advantage. They've got the higher hips and the dominant control. If you're turning up out of Kindle or Running Man or anything like that, just get the fuck up as fast as you can. Like the second you get to a square to the ground situation, stand the fuck up. Like it's only when you start pausing in toe. So the problem with like doing this style of training is it gives those bad habits. It's the same as when we start talking about like back control. Is I remember like we did that drill a couple of years ago where I said, right, start from back control and make it work. But I didn't say, I didn't demonstrate where I wanted to start from. It was just the natural kind of like, okay, we'll just start from the regular kind of, you know, this kind of position here, the backpack position. The problem with that is the criteria that we set makes that really, really difficult to control. And so you're essentially trying to polish a turd. Because you have these situations where you start from the jiu-jitsu-esque situation and you just try and make it work. And sometimes it just won't. It's just a bad place. And so it's intelligent sometimes to kind of take a step back away from it, kind of go to the next level down and go, is it even worth going here, or is there something better in the first place? And turtle's one of those situations where don't fucking be there. It's a way out. We're looking at the ways out there. It is possible, but it's fucking work. And so the idea is, if you're coming out of Running Man, if you're coming out of Kindle, if you're coming out of off the floor, just get up as fast as you can, using those ideas. And so I wanted to try and do that then, is that you've just been taken down. So allow your partner to take you down, single leg, double leg, etc. Then I wanted to get out of it using Kindle, using the elbow frame, using Running Man, and whatever you need to do. Just use frames and get back to your feet. If you end up having to go through turtle to get there, that's fine. But see how short you can spend the time there, using the ideas you've just collected about posture, about stepping behind their hips, about freeing your ankles, all those things. So you start from standing, your partner's going to take you down nicely. There's no point slamming a non-resisting person. Don't be a dick. As soon as you hit the floor, get back up using those ideas about good posture, getting the fuck upright, getting behind their hips, hand fighting, underhooks, etc., etc. If you need to pause and turtle for a bit, that's fine. If you want to go from Running Man, if you want to go from, like, say, value guard pass, go from different scenarios. And you've got to try and get back to your feet, okay? Make sense? Cool. That should take us to the end. So, we'll figure it out. Off you go.
Yeah, you can show a bit already.
Keep it. Don't let them, they all going to chin and try to cross.
Nice.